What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Yanks of the Cop. We are here for our Newcastle preview for the Saturday matchup. As always, we're your hosts, Steve, Andrew, and Wahomie. Sophie has the night off tonight. But for a Newcastle breakdown, we actually are bringing on a very, very special guest. You'll know her from the Football Terrace as well as the Magpie Channel. We have Kendall Rowan. So, Kendall, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
No, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. Genuinely, I'm really good. Thank you. It's been very 20 degrees, obviously here in the UK, 20 degrees Celsius that is, today in the UK. So yeah, it's been nice, not been too bad actually.
There we go. I love that. I escaped the cold up in Boston and I'm down in Miami. So getting my tan on, getting the heat.
Yeah.
So definitely feels a lot better. Definitely feels a lot better than up there. Well, homie, how we doing? Andrew, how we living?
Yeah, I can't complain. It's freezing down here in London, though, but I can't complain.
Doing well, man. On vacation. I love it.
There we go. Great news all around. Everyone in the chat, we appreciate you folks. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. And any Newcastle fans who are here, make sure to go check out Kendall's channel. She is a rock star, and we're very, very happy to have her. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. But otherwise, let's get right down into it. I think before we start with the match breakdown and everything, kind of just want to get everyone's thoughts now that everything with the Super League has died down. Thank God. Shout out to all the fans who put up a protest for that. But kind of want to go around the room here. But Kendall, I want to start with you. How are you feeling about all of this? I mean, obviously now it's not going through, but what were your original thoughts on all of it? And now that it's not going to happen, how do you feel about everything?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that it's collapsing in on itself, basically. I think that's probably the best thing for everybody. The reason I was more upset was because obviously I felt sorry for the fans of the Big Six who were, well, obviously the 12, I guess, who weren't consulted. The fans weren't consulted. The players and managers weren't consulted before the decisions were made. And I think it just reiterated to everybody how much football's changed. It's just a business model now. It's not, it's not about the fans anymore, which it really, really should be. And it's not about, irrespective clubs now. So yeah, glad it's collapsed on itself. It was very nice to see. I know obviously Florentino Perez is still claiming that it hasn't collapsed because no one's officially left. But I think he'll find Florentino that they have. Whether or not they've paid you the fine that you're expecting is another story. But I think it was the best thing for everybody because there's only Juventus, Real Madrid and Barcelona currently who haven't said that they're leaving still. So, that'll be some Super League with only 3 teams in, but good luck to them.
That is quite the Super League with 3 teams, that's for sure. I mean, for me, from an American perspective, it was really cool to see the power that the fans can have because obviously everything here is Americanized and one of the things I don't like about American sports is that there is no relegation system and you have the same teams at the bottom of the league every single year and their owners just collect that little bit of profit that they make every year and never invest in the team. And it can just lead to, when good players go there, they leave immediately and it just leads to a toxic environment. And I was really glad to see that it got blocked for European football because that's one of the things I love about European football. It's so competitive. The little guys can beat the big guys and you always try as hard as you can. But, well, homie, I want to get your final thoughts. I know Andrew and I and you have talked about this a lot, but what are your final thoughts on it all?
Yeah, I think it's good as ended because it was a travesty for football if it went ahead. But I don't buy it that they succumbed to fans' pressure. It was more because the English club got paid off. Otherwise, they would have still gone ahead with it. UEFA offered them a large amount of money because they found a $5 billion pot of money that they've denied ever existed. So that's why the English clubs have kind of caved in. But, I still think personally there should be some kind of penalisation for them. With dot points or something because I don't think the Super League is going to be off the table forever. They're going to bring up again sometime in the future. And they need to do something now, whether that's making the rules harder. Because I did see in the Times today that the Premiership are going to change the rules so it's to make it really impossible for the English club to break away. So they need to do that, and they also need to do something else now to punish these teams because I don't buy any of the apologies either. I think they're all hollow apologies that are just saying just to kind of appease the fans. But they've all made their bed, or at least all the directors need to resign. Because Woodward did the right thing by resigning, but all the rest of them have to resign too, because they don't care about the fans, and their position's unattainable for me. So, but I think overall, it's good that it's ended, because it was going to destroy football.
Andrew?
Yeah, I in the past, I generally supported a lot of FSG's decisions. Obviously not the furloughing decisions, hiking the ticket prices, all that kind of stuff. But, even in those situations, they eventually listened to the fans and made the right decision. This one just goes well beyond that. I thought that the original post on social media by the Liverpool admin was absolutely disgraceful. And then later that evening, we saw John Henry get on the video and read from a script, and he took the blame. And I actually thought just listening to it, it was probably a decent apology, but the damage is already done. I am now no longer defending FSG. I am completely FSG out. They need to go. I just don't think that there's any way back from this from them. All the fans hate them. It's basically a general consensus that they need to go. And all of the good faith that they've had in the past has pretty much been erased. I mean, the FSG legacy has pretty much been erased from my eyes, I would say. I don't think they'll leave right away, maybe in the next year. Because I was listening to the Red Agenda. There's not many billionaires out there looking to buy Liverpool for 2 to 4 billion pounds. So I think they'll probably stick around for a little while. The only way I think we can see John Henry get back in the decent graces of the Liverpool supporters would be maybe to have a rocking summer. First of all, have a lot of transfers coming in. It would be fantastic. But then maybe trying to create like a special council or something like that with the fan groups or with supporters, because clearly they're very disconnected. Obviously, living in the States probably doesn't help very much either. But they need to do something if they want to stick around here. Otherwise, they're going to get run out of town.
Very well said. Very well said. And I think your point's spot on there about just they don't have any leash left. I mean, between the furlough decision, Project Big Picture, the ticket prices, trying to copyright Liverpool. I mean, there's no more that they can apologize for. They've spent half their time here apologizing for stuff, and it's just time to go, in my opinion. And FSG out for sure. But just to get to some people in the chat here, Chris Welch, welcome back. Appreciate you. Peter Phillips, thanks for checking it out. You got Sophie in the chat as well. We appreciate it. FSG out says FSG out. I'm not surprised there. Love that. Really good. There is a protest going on at Anfield, 11 a.m. on Saturday. So anyone in town, definitely feel free to go there. We will definitely be, backing you up there. FSG out again. Henry wasn't speaking from his heart. He was reading from a script. Yeah, I mean, but again, I do commend him for actually getting on a video. At least he actually got in front of the camera, which is surprising. Peter Phillips, respect your opinion, homie, but you can't punish the players and Klopp with the points of deduction. That's on FSG. I completely agree with that assessment. You got to make sure that you don't punish the players and the coaches. They had nothing to do with this. They went over the top on them.
But on the other hand, obviously, there's been clubs in the past who've been punished for going in administration, which isn't the players' or the manager's faults. So I guess, it's going to hurt somebody that's not meant to. And that is, again, all on the owners. And it's going to be, like collateral damage, obviously, if the points are deducted, because the fans and the players and the manager, it's going to be collateral damage in that situation. But there's going to have to be penalties somewhere. If they don't want to do a point deduction, it may have to be like a fine situation. But those fines should be extensive, and they also should not come out of the club's revenue. Because, again, why should the club pay for the owner's mistakes? Like, they just shouldn't. So that's my opinion anyway on that.
That's spot on. I think it has to be either, like what homie said, whoever was involved, you have to leave the league. You have to leave the league, or if they're not going to make them leave the league, a hefty fine out of their own pocket. I think that's just going to be the right thing to do. We'll see what happens. That's going to be another thing to keep an eye on. But it's also important to note before we move on, UEFA and FIFA aren't saints either. Like during this entire mess, the Champions League, changes that got passed, that is not good for the players. That's way more games that they're going to have to play. They're already sticking their necks out as it is with so many games, and we're going to end up seeing more and more injuries, and it's just not going to be good. And Deco here, get fans outside Fenway Park. Oh, believe me and Andrew will be out there. Anytime I see John Henry, I'll be flashing him the bird, that's for sure. No problem at all there. Oscar, thanks for joining. We'll hold me with the fresh trim, looking like a young Wesley Snipes. Okay, we'll take that. But let's get down to business. 1892 pod. Definitely DM us anytime. We're always happy to do a collab with you. You guys are awesome. But let's get right into it. Let's talk about the match. Huge match for both teams. That is for damn sure. So, I mean, Kendall, I want to kind of ask you a few questions to start off here. I mean, you guys just had an unbelievable win against West Ham. Won 3 in a row, I believe. So I know it's been an up and down season for you, but what's the feeling like right now for Newcastle fans coming into this match?
So we've won 2, drawn 1, so we're unbeaten in 3. So that's true. Hope is there, which the thing is, it always is there. The hope's always there. That's what kills you in the end, because you believe that you're going to beat these teams and you never do. But we are in a better, obviously, better mindset at the moment, because we are 15th. We've been 17th for like several months now. So to be 15th in this current situation where we're coming into a run of fixtures now where we've got you guys, we've got Arsenal, Leicester and Man City in a row. To be where we are right now is a lot better than obviously where we were 3 games ago, and I was expecting, a point from our next 7 fixtures, and we've played 3 of them. We've got 7 points, sorry. So, we're in a better position. I'm still obviously nervous going into this game. You guys have seemed to pick up a little bit of form. Obviously, Mane scoring the other day will have helped. So, it is what it is. I don't expect to come into Liverpool and to go and play Liverpool and win. I don't think we've won a game against you guys since 2015. There's been a couple of draws in there, but I don't think we've won since then. So, yeah, hope's there, but, it's not like it's probably unlikely that we're going to win, to be honest.
I mean, to be honest, I'm never convinced with Liverpool this season. It always just seems that we're never consistent. We can't put performances together in a row here. So yeah. I wouldn't sell you guys out quite yet, especially beating a team like West Ham, who's red hot right now. That was a really impressive win for me.
Just Kendall, based in Newcastle, would you be approaching this game? Where a lot of other teams have come to Anfield and to put 10 behind the ball and just playing the counter-attack? Is that kind of the approach that you reckon Newcastle would take?
That's usually the Bruce, in my opinion, the Bruce Ball approach. That's obviously what we've named Steve Bruce's football, Brucey Ball. That is his usual approach. However, the last 3 games where we've actually been a lot more structured, we've gone back to 5-3-2, 3-5-2, however you want to look at it, with wing backs. Everybody's fit, so Wilson's back, Saint-Maximin is back as well. Willock's been coming into the squad and has scored 3 crucial goals for us. So I don't know, and I hope that he doesn't approach this game like that, because when we played Burnley, we beat Burnley 2 games ago, we approached the game and I was like, 5 at the back. I'm sick of this. Why are you playing 5 at the back against Burnley? And actually, it ended up working out, because with our wingers, obviously Murphy and Richie, on either side now, it's allowing us to play more direct attacking football, which we've lacked for about a year now. So obviously with everybody fit, I'm hoping that they approach the game in the same way as they have the last 2, which is stay organised, keep 3 at the back. Obviously, I would like to see possibly, one of our midfield 2 drop deep into a DM role. That's what I would like, which we have kind of been lacking, because Shelby doesn't fit that criteria for me. Sean Longstaff doesn't fit that criteria for me. Hayden would have, but he's now out for the rest of the season. So, hopefully we don't, because maybe that might catch you guys by surprise if that's how everybody else is set up against you. Maybe we won't, but I have a funny feeling Steve Bruce is very transparent in his team selections and his formations and things like that, his tactics. And he basically just takes it for, excuse the pun, black and white, basically. So he'll just think Liverpool, oh no, Salah, Mane, Firmino, right, Jota at this point. We're just going to go defensive. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do, but I hope that we don't.
Yeah, I mean, my question is more revolving around the MLS players that were on your side. DeAndre Yedlin, I'm just curious what your thoughts were on him before he made his way over to Turkey, and I'm also curious of Miguel Almirian. I think he's actually a fan favorite with you guys at Newcastle. A lot of folks like him a lot, but I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on him. I think that he's the type of player that can make a big impact, but lately this season it seems like he's been coming off the bench a lot. Is that right?
Yeah, so just obviously I'll go with Yedlin first. I used to like Yedlin a lot because for us in a time where I can't really remember a decent right back in my time of supporting Newcastle for a long time. Like I'm going back like 10 plus years at this point. And I'm like 26, so I can't really remember like a really decent right back. And when we signed Yedlin, I was actually really happy because he was someone that I thought could come into the squad again. Hope like he could bring an attack and flair to the game because he is so fast. Like he was one of the fastest players in the Premier League at one point. Unfortunately, his career never really took off. He was quite vital to us in the Championship season. That under Rafa quite liked him, and then unfortunately, Manquillo came in and was one of, if not the most improved player in our squad under Rafa Benitez. So Manquillo kind of took that spot for the next 2 years until Steve Bruce came in. And I was sad for Yedlin because I did see the potential in him, and he's a kind of player that I like. Like he's just that sort of player. He's fast, he's tricky. Like that's just what I like about him. But unfortunately, he was just never going to fit into a solid right back role because defensively he's just not good defensively, and that's maybe his downfall. I was really sad that he left the way that he did because it was on so much animosity. So is it Galatasaray? Is that before he went to Galatasaray? It came out that he couldn't play the last like so many games because his work permit had run out. Now, to me, that's not something for a player who's been at the club for 4 or 5 years. That's not something you miss. Like, so that just showed to me that obviously whoever was in charge of that didn't care. So Mike Ashley, Lee Chanley, whoever didn't care. And second of all, I thought it was just hugely disrespectful, and it was just. So it was just an indictment of how badly ran our club is at that point. And I was really, really sad to see him go, especially for free. It was, in my opinion, it was really, really a sad loss, especially because our backup at that time was Emil Kraft, who I think is probably one of the worst players to grace the Premier League, not just Newcastle. That is just a genuine truth. And I know a lot of people agree with me on that one, especially Newcastle fans. So, and Manquillo then was injured for like 4 months as well. So we didn't even have a right back at that point. So very strange decision. Almiron, I love Almiron. I think he's, as you say, he's a fan favourite because he works hard. No matter what, even if he has a bad game, he's always going to get at least a 6 out of 10 for his work effort. And that is like something that we've always said. Like, there's always been this motto surrounding Newcastle because we've been called delusional over the years, and, you know, people think that we expect that we should be better than we are. But we've always said we don't demand a team that wins, we just demand a team that tries. And he has been literally the epitome of that since we signed him. Like, his work rate, he just digs in every game, regardless of, you know, what's going on in the game, and he's just so hard to dislike even as a person. Like, he comes in, he smiles. Like, I remember I worked for the club a couple of years ago, and I dealt with the players, and he came in and did like a little fan talk in one of the boxes after the game, and he could barely speak a word of English, but it didn't matter because everyone was just glad that he was there, and he's so, what's the word, like warm and like pleasant. Like, you just want to speak to him and you want to be around him. And yeah, he had for a lengthy amount of time, like pretty much at the beginning of the season till around January time. He was just on the bench, and he was coming off the bench, and we were like literally calling for Steve Bruce's neck. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's one of the most quality, like, able players in our squad, and we had really bad results before Christmas. And I just really am glad now that he's kind of come back into the team, because when our forwards are all fit, so like him, Saint-Maximin and Callum Wilson, when those three are playing and they're on the pitch, it's great to see. My only qualm about it is that I feel like he's better as in a number 10 role just behind Callum Wilson. And for some reason, Steve Bruce has decided now that he's not going to occupy that spot anymore. He's going to go out onto the wing. And I don't mind him on the wing, but I much prefer Saint-Maximin on the wing and and Almiron in the middle, and kind of Joe Linton on the other side, which I never thought I would say. But yeah, I prefer him there. So I hope he can maybe fit back into that. But Steve Bruce is not going to change what's working. If it's not broke, don't fix it at the end of the day. So we're probably not going to see him in that role for a long time now.
Well, that kind of brings into my question. I mean, you talked a lot about some of the tactics that you guys like, that your team likes to go with. So, I mean, what is the fans' opinion on the job that Steve Bruce has done? Because obviously, I know there seems to be a huge disconnect between the Newcastle ownership and the fans. Obviously, not a big fan of the Ashes, and don't blame you. But like, what do you guys think of Steve Bruce? Like, do you ultimately like him, or is it more kind of just like he hasn't gotten the backing? Like, what's the team's thoughts on that? Or fans' thoughts?
So basically, he came in kind of in a bad situation. I'm not going to lie. He came in a bad situation. We just lost a manager who we probably appreciated more. We never appreciated a manager more since the early 2000s with Bobby Robson. So he came in on the back of that, and he was never, whoever came in at that point was just never going to come in on a good note anyway. On top of the fact that he was ex-Sunderland manager, and as well as that, he was actually 12th choice for the job. And as far as I'm aware, he actually approached the club to take the job. His representatives approached the club to take the job. So, that kind of leaves you in a state like, God, like, who have they asked prior to this? Like, who have they literally asked if he is 12th choice? He came in, new manager bounce, never really happened. Tactics were horrendous. He basically undid every single foundation that Rafa Benitez had built. Yes, we played defensive football. It wasn't pretty football, but it was reliable football. So the results were reliable, the defence was reliable and organised. And Steve Bruce came in, and for 3 years of work that Rafa had done, Steve Bruce undid that in about 4 months. Easily. Quickly, just like that, quickly came in, just undid everything. Players like Sean Longstaff, who was like tipped to go to Manchester United for 50 million in Rafa Benitez's last season, literally never saw a game for like a year and a half because he was just horrendous, so bad. Players like Jamal Lascelles, who had been so crucial for us as a captain, like especially from the Championship onwards, he regressed. And for me, if he went in the summer, that wouldn't really bother me. At this point, I'd be like, okay, off you go. It really wouldn't bother me. And he comes out, and I think the worst part about it all is being his press conferences, because obviously I know you guys have heard every excuse under the sun with Jurgen Klopp. The grass is too long, it was too windy, blaming Madrid Stadium. I know that you guys have heard that, but Jurgen Klopp never attacks the fans. That's something you don't do as a football manager, in my opinion, because they're the ones who support you. They're the ones who basically keep you in a job or push you out of a job. And he has consistently attacked the fans. He's called us keyboard warriors. When we got beat in the Carabao Cup from Brentford, he was like, "Oh, you're all displaying, it's mass hysteria that we've lost." I'm like, "No, we've literally just lost to a Championship side. Like, we're allowed to display some kind of like horror at that." And he's just always blamed us. I mean, he called Matt Ritchie out in an interview and said that the reason we lost was because he didn't get instructions on the pitch quick enough. And I was like, that's your job. That's not Matt Ritchie's job. Like, come on. So he hasn't helped himself. I mean, and obviously as we showed this year, we were 10th after the season after we got promoted. We came 10th with Rafa Benitez. And we've been battling relegation with £100 million spent on the team. We've been battling relegation. Like, that's not good enough to me. That's not good management, because how are you spending 100 million to improve the squad? And in my opinion, it did improve the squad. Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, Saint-Maximin. I mean, Joe Linton, hit and miss here and there. But that's improvement in my opinion. And we've been battling relegation all year, playing defensive football when we've got all this attacking force in the club. He gave us 6 days off after, well, not me, but I wish. He gave the team 6 days off after we lost to Brighton 3-0. Like, what is that about? Like, it's just so weird. He's so, like, Jurassic in the way he approaches football. Like, Jack Grealish, when he was manager of Aston Villa, Jack Grealish said all he used to do was genuinely get 2 like 5-a-side teams like in several groups and just drop a ball in the middle and say, off you go and play a game of football.
That's proper training right
genuinely,
there.
but that does not surprise me at all. Like, I feel like that's where he's at in his football knowledge, because like I just don't understand the way he plays. But yeah, I think it's probably he should have gone, in my opinion, after we got beat at Sheffield United in December. I think he should have gone then, if not before. But who's going to want to come into this job with an owner like Ashley? Nobody is going to want to do that. Any self-respecting person is not going to want to do that. Yeah. And also, Mike Ashley won't want to pay the $4 million that it's going to cost to, pay off Steve Bruce. So we're kind of stuck with him at the moment. He's got 1 year left in his contract, and I feel like we're probably going to see that out regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Newcastle fans deserve better. I mean, Aunt Dicko here, quite the name, but Gordy's are the best away fans to visit too. And like, I get that vibe, and even here in the States, there's quite a lot of Newcastle supporters out here, and your supporters deserve better. You guys are a big club, and I think you deserve better than battling for relegation. So
yeah.
Forgive me for being an ignorant American, but what is a Geordie?
A Geordie's like a native of Newcastle. So it's extended to include anyone who supports the club basically now, but originally a Geordie is a native of Newcastle.
Okay.
So technically I'm not a Geordie really, like in location wise, because I live just outside Newcastle, but I class myself as a Geordie because obviously I support Newcastle. So.
But isn't Newcastle called Toonside?
So yeah, the Toon is.
The Toon.
I'll give you a little history, history. So
I'm taking notes over here.
Yeah, the Toon Army is us because in Geordie slang, Toon means town. Like you say, I'm going doing the Toon. You're going down the town. You're going into the town centre, basically. So we're the Toon Army. But where Newcastle is Tyneside, so it is kind of similar, but it's on the River Tyne, so Tyneside. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for educating me.
Okay.
Well, our good Kendall, our good friend here from the Dugout Football Channel, he brought this out of Newcastle Liverpool as one of the most iconic pictures in Premier League history. Kevin Keegan over the advertising borders for 4-3 game. He actually has a quick question here. If you remember that game, what was your favorite memory of that match?
I don't remember that match. I really don't. I only remember, the sad thing is in my life, like I've supported Newcastle all my life, but I only remember like from the early 2000s. So maybe like the end of the Bobby Robson era, because as I say, I'm only 26. So Mike Ashley has owned the club since 2006, since I was 10. So I've kind of just always been in depression mode with Newcastle United, really. So yeah, I've seen that match. Obviously, in later years, I've seen everything about it, but I don't remember that match personally whatsoever.
Okay. Ken, I'm just going to ask you, like, going over, like, obviously, like Liverpool fans, a lot of us now want FSG out, so we are done with them as as our owners, and obviously Newcastle have been unhappy with Mike Ashley for ages now, So just wanted to get your opinion, like, what is it like, in terms of being able to manage, being able to support the team, but at the same time disliking your owner that you want him out. And also, what was the overall feel for most Newcastle fans when the Saudi bid fell through? Like, did you guys really? Cause all we got was obviously that they didn't pass the Premier League test, but we don't know actually what actually the reasons were in terms of it actually failed, and is it going to come back, or was that the end of it?
So obviously, with regards to Mike Ashley, it's been a long time coming that we can separate the team from the owner. So there has been, it still goes on now, but especially after it's been really a fractured relationship since Kevin Keegan's second stint. Obviously, when Kevin Keegan took Mike Ashley to court over the way he was treated at work and, his resignation and things like that. And actually, he won that court case and it was brought up in court that, Mike Ashley consistently misled the press, the public and the fans of Newcastle United. And since that point, he's never really changed. He's never tried to repair any relationships. He's never, tried to invest in the club at all. We've kind of been, shopping in the bargain bin for like several years now. When Rafa Benitez was managing, Rafa Benitez has won every domestic cup that you can win in league football, in several leagues as well. We weren't expecting a manager like that at all after Steve McLaren. It was like, who we're going to get at this point? Obviously in the same position that we're in with Steve Bruce right now. And when we brought Rafa Benitez in, it was the first time in, because at that point it was 2016, so 10 years. It was the first point in 10 years where we actually felt like this maybe could be a step forward. And if Rafa Benitez was backed the way that he wanted to be, so he wanted to restructure the academy, he wanted to build a new training ground, he wanted to be the manager. He didn't want to be the coach. He wanted to be the manager, and he wanted to manage every aspect of the club. Obviously, you guys have a lot of great memories with Rafa Benitez, and I know that he is so fondly looked over, like with both of our fan bases. He wasn't backed. He was constantly, bullied, basically, in a sense, by Mike Ashley. He was belittled. Mike Ashley just didn't want to give the power over. It was just complete power play. Did not want to give the power over Rafa Benitez, and obviously that again ended in a fractured relationship and Rafa Benitez left on really bad terms. Since that point, I think it's just been a case of we've got to differentiate between the team and the squad and the club that we love, and just remember that Mike Ashley is not representative of that at all. There's been protests 2 seasons ago, obviously Steve Bruce's first season in charge. So many fans weren't going to the game after the Rafa Benitez situation that he actually had to give away 20,000 free season tickets, 10,000 free season tickets, because there was so many seats empty. So this was like a coup to get fans back in the ground because everyone was just boycotting it. I know me personally, my family, my dad's had a season ticket for about 35 years. I've had one since 2006 with my brother. And cool. We don't buy any merchandise relating to Newcastle United whatsoever through their channel. So we don't go to Sports Direct, don't buy anything from the club shop. I know thousands of other people don't do the same. And that's where you've got to do that to hurt them. And I know it seems like you're not supporting your club, but you've got to do that because that's the way it hurts them. It hurts them financially. It hurts their pockets. Because protests haven't worked. He's still here. He's still here 15 years later, despite everything that's gone on, a court case. Like, he's still here and he's just not going to be pushed out. Like, that's just the way it is. And obviously you guys probably, I know you haven't been overwhelmed with FSG for a long time. Like, obviously, kind of the transfer situation, they haven't really spent like big money, if you will. But you've done pretty well. You've done decently. You spent decently. You spent on quality, if I must admit, to get you guys to where you are right now. But obviously, as Liverpool, as a team, as a club, should be getting more than one Premier League title in a lengthy amount of time. In my opinion, they should. Right. So it's just got to be a case of, you can protest, yes, do that. Like, that's a great way to start, especially if it's in your masses and it's a big protest. It can't just be half-hearted, which I've seen from my club a lot. There's been a lot of half-hearted protests, and I commend everybody that engages in a protest or in any form of boycott. But it's got to be at a level that's recognised. Like, it's got to be, otherwise they don't really care. They're not bothered about empty seats, because if it's season ticket seats, you've paid for them anyway. Like, then they're not bothered about it unless the game is being aired on Sky and there's a large chunk of people missing, because then obviously it's noticeable and there's going to be an issue there. Again, don't buy merchandise through the club channels or anything that relates to them. So obviously in our case it's Sports Direct. Don't buy anything relating to that, because if several, hundreds, thousands, Liverpool Football Club has millions of fans. If everybody stopped doing that, that would be a serious problem for the club. So that's another step to take. But unfortunately, it's not easy. It's just not easy to get owners out of clubs as it is. Everyone says, "Oh, why are you blaming the manager?" It's the Glazers, for example. But yes, we know that, but we can't go and shout at the Glazers in the dugout every week. Like, you can't do that. They're not there. So that's where obviously your anger's kind of directed. But it's a lot easier to get rid of a manager than it is an owner of a football club. And that's just, if you're realistic about the situation and you know that it's not just going to be okay, guys, we're selling up. It's not going to be easy. That it's took us 10 years to get to this point where we're we might just be stuck with him. We're just going to be stuck with him, and that's just the unfortunate thing. So you've just got to be realistic about the situation, and do everything you can to change it. But if it doesn't change, you can't be too disheartened because it isn't easy.
Yeah.
I could ramble on about Mike Ashley all day, really, so we'll move on to the takeover situation. So the takeover, something that should have took 4 to 6 weeks, took 18. The Premier League weren't happy with the shareholder entity, so they weren't happy that the Saudi royal family weren't going to have anything to do with the running of Newcastle United. So they were kind of in the mindset that so Mohammed bin Salman, who is the head of the Saudi royal family, it was PIF, who were the company, the consortium who were going to take over Newcastle. They are branched off from the royal family, but it's not actually like the royal family who like dictates what they do. Like they kind of have an input because there's like a couple of his sons are like board members of that consortium, but the Premier League said that they weren't happy that the royal family weren't going to have an input or a huge input into the running of Newcastle United, and obviously based on the Premier League links with Qatar, based on human rights issues, things like that. They just weren't happy, and they said, right, until you prove to us that that's not going to be an issue, then we cannot continue with the owners and directors test. And he dragged it out so long that actually the Saudi royal family pulled out of the deal. And said that they were no longer going ahead with it until a legal route was taken, because they kind of argued that they had given every single bit of evidence that they weren't going to be involved, and all members of the parties had, but still the Premier League weren't having it. They were like, no, this is not enough. They just kept like moving the goalposts every single time. So the Saudi royal family were just like, until a legal route is taken, until arbitration is involved, we're now no longer interested in that deal.
Right.
They have remained on the back burner since like August last year. Still remained on the back burner. There's still been things going on behind the scenes. Obviously, Mike Ashley and kind of PIF's legal representatives have created a court case, which is going to be heard in the next couple of months, as far as we're aware, because there's belief that there was outside influence. The teams weren't like accurately informed of processes, things like that. But yeah, so basically that's it. I think it's still on the back burner. It's not fully dead in the water. Several members of that consortium are still interact with the fans on a daily basis, still give hope, things like that. So maybe it can happen, but I don't know. I'm not for the Saudi regime. I'm fully against the Saudi regime. But if they're not going to be fully involved in the takeover, I'm not against a Saudi takeover, if that makes sense. I'm just very against the Saudi regime and what they have going on in their country. But this whole, just linking on to that, this whole Super League thing was mentioned when this happened last year. So one of the points of the arbitration is that Mike Ashley and his team felt like there was outside influence on the Premier League to reject this deal, because there was meetings with like Spurs, Man United, and they outwardly said, actually Liverpool were involved. They outwardly said that they did not want this takeover to happen. And unfortunately, that whole Project Big Picture thing was mentioned at that time, and the Super League was mentioned, and we were laughed at. Everyone was like, no, they're not going to make a Super League. Like, that's never going to happen. UEFA's never going to allow that. And I was like, and then this obviously happened in the last week, and I was like, really? We did tell you, it's like a few months ago now. We did tell you this, but yeah, it's just funny how the takeover's kind of gained momentum in the past 2 weeks, because obviously Boris Johnson's been involved. He's got quite a close personal relationship with a member of the royal family who was kind of involved in this deal. And that's been in the news a lot. And then this whole thing's happened, and everyone's kind of got the conspiracy theory heads on, and they're like, oh, it's because they don't want Newcastle to be like a spanner in the works, because they like, if we got took over at that point, based on net money, like a net, what's the word? Net worth. Couldn't even think of the word. We would actually be the richest club in the Premier League and one of the richest clubs in the world. And that would have scuppered everybody's plans at that point, because like no one's going to invite Newcastle or a Super League. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but maybe in the future we'll see a takeover. I hope it's I don't want a takeover if it's just going to be Mike Ashley again. Like, because what's the point? Like, you're just going back through depression again. Like, there's just no point. I want a takeover that's actually going to like propel the club and progress the club.
FSG says he thinks it was linked also to maybe that Turkish journalist being killed by the Saudis.
So Jamal Khashoggi was a journalist that was killed in Saudi, I don't know if it was Houses of Parliament or somewhere like that. That was brought up quite a lot throughout the whole thing as to why the Premier League were against it. But it was, I don't think it was for the Premier League, I don't think that was an issue. I think that was just kind of a human rights issue, which again, I am completely against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, moving back to the game, I'm curious what your thoughts are about the lineup and potential formation against Liverpool. I think against West Ham you went with a 5-3-2.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll utilize that again? I noticed that Callum Wilson didn't start that game. Was he injured? Do you expect him to start this game? What are your thoughts
so I think it'll be 3-5-2 again, 5-3-2, however you want to look at it, with the two wing backs. If everybody's fit, I'm actually not sure currently on any injury updates or anything because Saint-Maximin kind of came off against West Ham with kind of a little bit of a strain. Don't know how serious that was. We haven't really heard anything. Callum Wilson should be fit. It was his first game back against West Ham after a 6-week injury, so he didn't start, but he probably will. I'm expecting him to start next game. There's not really any reason why he shouldn't. But other than that, yeah, I think it'll be a 5-3-2 situation with. I don't really know who'll be up front. Actually, it kind of depends on who. If Saint-Maximin's injured, it'll probably be Almiron maybe, unless he starts Gale there. I just don't know. I don't see the point in Dwight Gale. He frustrates the life out of me. There's just no reason why he should be starting these games.
He kills Liverpool, though. He's
in
a
my
Liverpool
opinion.
killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scores a lot of goals.
Maybe that's who we need. But yeah, I think it'll be probably Saint-Maximin and Wilson up front. Almiron. See, this is the thing now, because now everybody's fit, and if you play this 5-3-2 formation, there's nowhere for people to fit. So Almiron, for example, there's nowhere for him to fit unless he plays up front. He's not going to play in the centre of the three because John Joe Shelby occupies that position, and he's currently captain due to the Lascelles injury. And he's been the one player that is so vocal positively about Steve Bruce. He loves Steve Bruce. He said, he's the best man manager I've ever played for. Like, no, he's best man manager because you play, which he didn't play under Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez was kind of like, meh, you're
That's
not.
That's why he's captain, right? Isn't he captain?
Yeah, exactly. He's captain now. So it'll probably. I want Willock to start. See, this is the thing. I want Willock to start as well, and Joe Linton as well doesn't really deserve to be dropped actually, because if he's been one of our best players for the past 3 games. So he doesn't deserve to be dropped. So I'll be very curious to see what goes on with that front 3-2, if that's the situation we're playing, because there's several players who I would like to see in there, and some of them are going to miss out. So Almiron can miss out. Willock probably won't start because Steve Bruce seems to think that now he signed him to be an impact sub. So I don't really know what's going to happen with that, but I think the formation will probably stay the same, and the back 5 will probably be the same: Murphy, Fernandez, Clark, Dummett, and Ritchie probably.
That's kind of a perfect transition to this. I mean, this kind of is for all of you, everyone in the group here. So knowing that Newcastle will probably line up that way, who are the danger men? Where are the key matchups that we're going to have to watch for that can ultimately determine this? So, I mean, obviously, Kendall, of all of Liverpool's injuries, pretty much at our 5th and 6th center back options. Trent likes to get forward. Robinson likes to get forward. So, I mean, we'll start with you, but, where are some areas that you think and some key people that might be able to determine the match in Newcastle's favor? And also for you, what concerns you looking at the Liverpool lineup as places that we may be able to hurt Newcastle?
Obviously, it's going to be our attacking players. It's going to be Saint-Maximin, for example. It's going to be Willock. It's going to be, Callum Wilson, if that's the case. They're probably where I'm expecting as they have been. We've been pretty stumped for goals for a lengthy amount of time. We're starting to score a few more now. And so hopefully, because as you say, similarly to you guys, like with Trent Alexander-Arnold and things, our fullbacks, our wing backs like to get forward now. So Jacob Murphy is probably the best crosser of the ball we have in our team, and he plays at right wing back. Same with Matt Ritchie. He he's on corners, free kicks. So if your forwards, and obviously like Thiago or Jota, for example, who have both kind of stepped up in recent weeks, if everybody's on form, that's going to concern me that we don't have enough cover, kind of, even if we do play three at the back, that we don't have enough defensive cover. So that is going to worry me. But yeah, I think for us, obviously, it's going to be our attacking players. It's going to be, like I say, Saint-Maximin, Wilson, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely agree. I got to hop off here, fellas. And Kendall, thanks for joining. But everyone in the chat, you guys are awesome. Andrew will host from here. But if you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back for the lineup show Saturday. But thanks again for coming on, Kendall. It's great to meet you.
No, love you to meet you. You too.
Cool.
Cheers, guys.
Cool. Andrew, going on to like a Liverpool point perspective, how are you feeling about this game after us dropping points against Leeds, which was a big blow for us?
Well, they're two very different teams. I think that against Leeds, they took it to us. They really attacked us on all over the pitch. And with Newcastle, I think they're going to sit in a lot more, very similar to what they did in the first game. I'm really curious about how Newcastle comes out, because, especially in terms of their lineup, because I remember last time we were having this conversation before we played Newcastle earlier on the season. Reece Williams was starting at center back, I think, alongside Fabinho.
Yeah.
And we were very concerned about his pace against Callum Wilson. And I think that weakness is just exacerbated if Saint-Maximin is in, or even Almirion, because we know that Kabak and Phillips aren't the paciest center backs either. So I mean, it's going to be a tough one, man. I think that obviously we don't have the European Super League distraction to use as an excuse after the game if the results don't go our way. So I would expect the team to come out and be ready to play and be ready to attack. They're going to need to. Newcastle are going to sit in. We're going to have a lot of possession. I would assume more than 65% possession. So these are the types of games that we've always talked about having Thiago for. I don't think last game we had Thiago available, so I think he'll have a massive impact. That's the big one for me is Thiago. Obviously, if Saint-Maximin plays, I'll be worried about Trent and Phillips on that left-hand side. I think Saint-Maximin usually plays on the left.
I think Phillips might be still injured, they're saying.
What?
Phillips might be still injured.
Oh, Phillips might be still injured? So then maybe Fabinho goes back there then, unfortunately, and you play Gini, Milner, and Thiago. But I don't know. I think we can get a result for sure. It's just it's going to be tough.
Saint-Maximin didn't play against you guys last time either. He was injured. Yeah. It was like the whole coronavirus situation that we had with him over Christmas. So it'd be interesting to see how he comes out against you guys as well, I guess.
Yeah, my one concern two concerns is, one, it's a Saturday morning game, and Liverpool notorious slow starters. And two, we saw in the Leeds game, like in the second half, our midfield was totally overrun because Fabinho wasn't in midfield. So if we run out of gas like we did, because also Jota might be injured as well. So if we run out of gas in that first half, we missed chances. We normally struggle. Our conversion ratio at Anfield is really poor in 2021. And then Newcastle come out with a new energy in the second half, like Leeds did. Our midfield could get overrun. Because there's no one in my field that tackles, realistically, or has a high percentage for tackle success rate if Bina's not there. So that's a kind of concern for me. So I think for me, my concern in this game is kind of like, what Liverpool we're going to see, and will we actually?
I don't know if I'd be concerned about the midfield being overrun in a game like this. If it was Leeds, then that was a huge concern. But if they're sitting in, we're going to have a lot of the ball. I'm more concerned about the counterattack, especially with, I don't know who they're, if Fabinho slides back into center back, then, I don't know which side they're gonna want to attack. I would assume they would try to attack Kabak, just because he doesn't have as much pace, I think, as Fabinho, although they're both pretty slow. So it's gonna be interesting how Newcastle attacks and how we plan to defend that counterattack. But what do you think, Kendall?
Yeah, I think the counter, which has been our motive the past few games, to be fair, we haven't sat back as defensive as I've been expecting us. But yeah, I think that'll be the case because, as I said, Steve Bruce has been very transparent in the way he sets up. He'll just look at Liverpool and go, "Oh, Liverpool, like let's just play like 8 men behind the ball." Like that's just kind of what he does a lot. So yeah, I think that'll completely agree with you on that respect. And as for the midfield, our midfield is probably the weakest part of the team, in my opinion. If you take out Joe Willock, so yeah. It'll be very interesting to see how the two come up against each other, as you say, with your injuries. So, yeah, very interesting. And we've had early kick-off for the past couple of weeks and we've won. So, hopefully, third time lucky and all that.
Well, Andrew, obviously we saw Chelsea and Brighton draw midweek. Obviously, the Leicester game wasn't good for us, obviously with them winning tonight against West Brom. Like, does that put extra pressure on Liverpool going to this game, especially after the drop points against Leeds, that we have to win this game for top 4?
Listen, we have to win every game. We have to win every game from here on out. We really do. And I think it's more – I hope they don't take it as pressure. I think it's more of an opportunity. I mean, the fact – I said this last week. The fact that we've had all the injuries that we've had, we've just gotten kicked out of the Champions League. A lot of our players have now come back. We've faced a lot of adversity this season, and the fact that we're in 6th place right now and we still have a chance at top 4, they shouldn't feel pressure about that. They should feel an opportunity. It's just, I think a lot of us supporters have considered this season almost like a wash, just to some extent, because it's just been so crazy. With COVID, with no fans in the stands, with the amount of injuries that we've had. So just take it as an opportunity. Yeah, Newcastle's a great side. But I think that they're, with our squad, they're beatable. And no offense to Kendall, but I think that we can beat them.
None taken. I'm a very non-biased fan. Don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah. So no, I think that we can beat them, and I just think that we need to show the confidence. Sadio Mane scored a goal last week, so maybe he can get on the score sheet again. Mo Salah is always hungry for a goal, so I just think that we need to take it as an opportunity and not feel the pressure and be so concerned about the top 4. Just play our game, play 2 halves of solid football, and we'll win out the rest of the season. But it has to start at this game.
Yeah, I think obviously, like I said, my concern is us converting our chances that we do get, because like we saw in the Leeds game, the amount of chances we missed, and it's been like one of our bugbearers for most of the season that we're just not clinical, especially at Anfield. We missed too many chances, so I hope that we are clinical this weekend, because otherwise it could very much end up another draw if we're not clinical. We don't take our chances, and that's the one concern. We can't afford another draw. We have so it's obviously I think for Newcastle, I think they're safe. They're not going to go down.
I do too.
So I don't think they have to worry about that. So I think for them, this is more of a free game for them. They just go out and enjoy the game. For Liverpool, there's a pressure on us because it's very tight at the top. It's only 6 points separating us from Leicester. We win it, obviously it goes back to 3 points. So for us, we have to win, and it is going to be a very cagey that first 10, 20 minutes to see how Liverpool start the game, because like I said, we're notorious slow starters. So even the Villa game, it took us a wonder goal from Trent to win that game, otherwise it's going for a draw. So I don't know. I get you saying that, we should be beating Newcastle, we should. But we've seen it with Fulham, we've seen it with Brighton, we've seen it with Southampton. These teams have come to Anfield and gotten results in games that we should be winning. So I'm not as I put a tweet out earlier, and there were quite a lot of Liverpool fans that were adamant we're going to win this game easily. And I was like, I don't think it's going to be like a walk in the park, because
no, not at all.
Just because our form.
As well, we kind of drew, and we were in a really bad place at that point. We won 2 in 20. Till the Tottenham game, till the Burnley game, we'd won 2 in 20 at that point.
Right.
So we were kind of in a terrible situation and we drew. Now we're kind of on better form, so I'm hoping, Maybe we can, but I don't know. I don't know. We always make it hard for ourselves anyway. So
I'm looking at the game, the last game we played against each other, and it was 0-0. Obviously, we know that.
Yeah.
We had 74% possession.
Yeah.
And we still drew 0-0. You guys had 2 shots on target. We had 4. So, I mean, it was a
bad game. It was just before New Year as well.
It was an awful game. It was an absolute awful game, and I think that's what Steve Bruce is going to want for this game as well. I don't think he's going to attack.
He will see like a draw as a win. I mean, he saw when we drew against Spurs like 2-2 3 games ago. He was like, "Oh, we've won the last 2 games." This was before West Ham, and I was like, "No, we didn't. We won 1 game and we drew against Tottenham." Like that's what I mean. Like he literally saw that as a win. So yeah, he will 100% hope it goes that way again.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's going to be one of those games where I can't remember his name properly. Vaka, your goalkeeper.
Dubravka, the goalkeeper, yeah.
Dubravka, yeah. It's going to have a worldie. You know, whenever we play opposition team goalkeepers, they end up having a worldie against us. They end up playing like prime Buffon. So
Dubravka's bailed us out of a lot of situations, so we'll see.
Just got a feeling. So before we get on to the team news from you, Andrew, just going to read out a few chats here. So I hope I pronounced your name. Druvar says that Phillips and Josh were both not in the training videos. Our medical team is much worse, and I do think it is after the COVID cuts. Barry Kenyon says, good show, well represented, Kendo. Drew again here says, West Ham and Chelsea might drop points. Their fixtures are not easy, and we still have a chance. And also, West Ham and Chelsea play each other on the Saturday in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's huge.
What are you going to hope for from that game? A draw?
Draw, yeah. Draw is the best results.
Definitely.
FSG says, I look like Tyrese Gibson. I've had that in the past. So that's why I just highlight that. Yeah, I have had that.
You do?
Yeah, especially when I have a bald head. Like, I'll tell you still, like, when I went to Miami like 6 years ago, and we went down to where they do Beverly Hills, and they did like the hands, and then my friend shouted, "It's Tyrese Gibson." Tyrese Gibson had a bald head and sunglasses, and these Chinese people came over to me and actually thought it's Tyrese Gibson, so I asked my autograph. Then the tour driver came up and said, "That's not Tyrese Gibson. If it's Tyrese Gibson, I'll tell you it's Tyrese Gibson."
That's awesome.
The lady was signing. I was signing her shirt. She just yanked it off
Did
me.
you actually sign it as well?
Yeah.
You actually signed it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you sign it as Tyrese or Wahomie?
Tyrese. I was telling her it's Tyrese.
That's hilarious, man. Oh my god. That's
So go back to the game, Andrew. What formation and lineup are you going for this game?
Dude, I don't know why we always ask ourselves this question. We know he's going to go with the 4-3-3. We know he's going to go with the 4-3-3. He's going to go with the 4-3-3. Fabinho's going to slide into center back if Phillips isn't fit. And what's going to happen is it's going to be Genie and Milner, and then Thiago, and then the normal front 3. That's what it's going to be.
What about Jones? He's fit.
Doesn't matter. He hasn't played in a month or 2, so it's, you know.
Yeah. It is that. I think you are right, and it is. I know we ask that question every week. But can you just see, like, is it going to change? But I do think,
it's change, but it's not going to, especially in a big game like this. It's just not.
I know. It is. That's what sometimes annoys people, because certain players are picked based on favoritism now. I love Ginny. I think he's been world class for us. But he hasn't played well in the last few games. But he's going to start this weekend because it's a big game. And that's something might think, well, Jones, because he's fit now, Ox or someone else should get a start, but it's not. Even Bobby, I don't like Bobby as a 9 anymore. Even when he played his leagues, I don't like him as a 9. But we got no choice but to start him. So it's going to be that game, that same lineup you just said, and it's frustrating because what's the point? I would play Davies in this game to push Rooney back in midfield, but he's not going to. He's not going to. That's frustrating.
No way in hell.
Frustrating.
Yeah, he's just not going to take that many risks, given our current position in the table. He's just not going. He's just going to go with his trusted guys, like we've said. So I'll be very surprised if there's any massive change.
Well, can Milner play 3 games in a row?
When was the last time we played? A week ago?
Well, no, he played on Tuesday.
He's one of the fittest players in the squad. I think he's okay.
Played Tuesday.
It would be a good game for Jones or Ox or even Naby Keita. Like, this would be a perfect game for Naby Keita if he was in form. But I'd be very surprised if he started either.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be the same team.
Yeah.
As always, and we just have to hope we get something out of that. And that's Salah hopefully is on it, because obviously he's still chasing the golden boot. I think he's 2 of Kane still, so you have to hope. All right, let's move on to predictions.
Let's get to the predictions.
So, what are your predictions? We'll start with you, Kendall. What's your prediction for the game?
I always predict us to win in case we do, so it's like karma. Like I hope I can put like positivity in the universe that it's going to happen. So, but to be fair, the format that we're on, we did just beat West Ham, so I don't think it's undoable. So I think 2-1 Newcastle.
Okay.
What? 2-1 Newcastle?
I'm going to put that as a hot take as well.
That is a hot take.
Hot take. Andrew?
I'm going 1-0 Liverpool. I don't think Newcastle gets a goal. I think we can hold them with Fabinho back there, but I think we're going to get like a early second half goal, maybe like in the 50th minute. Klopp's going to ram into him at halftime.
That's our worst period as well of a game. Like as soon as we come out after the second half till like the 70th minute, we just like are not even like there. We're not even like aware at any point.
They try to hear Steve Bruce talk for 15 minutes, so they're like, okay.
They're like, no, we don't want to know.
I'm going to go, I'll not be negative, but a 1-1. Purely because I just feel like it's early morning kickoff, and I think
that wouldn't surprise me.
The Super League's going to hang over. I fear the Super League's going to hang over us, and it's going to be knock-on effect. But I'd love a 2-1. My heart says 2-1, but my head says 1-1. So that's not being pessimistic.
Which one's usually right?
Which one's usually right?
Which one's usually right? Your head or your heart?
Normally, last season it's been the heart. This year it's sometimes been the head.
Yeah, jeez.
Because it's based on form.
We'll keep a tally of that.
Yeah. All right, so we normally end the shows on the trivia questions, Kendall, just to make it a bit fun.
Okay.
So, if anyone's got any trivia questions, put it in the chat and we'll ask. Otherwise, I've got a few here. So, first trivia question: if you can make a rule for the day that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be? We'll start with you, Kendall.
Rule for the day?
Yeah,
Ooh.
everyone in the world had to follow.
Interesting. That's tough.
I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Maybe that you didn't have to pay for anything, so you could just go and pick whatever you wanted out of the shop. No, there would be absolutely carnage. Like, there would absolutely be carnage, but I would be going to get a PS5. I think a car would be too much of a coupe. Like I'll be like trying to drive my car out, and they'd be like, no. Like so maybe, yeah.
That's a good one. Rule. I don't want to sound like a square, but maybe like no profanity or something for like a day. You can't swear. Can't do anything like that. Kind of
I
like.
find that pretty easy. I don't swear that much.
Oh, I swear.
At Newcastle United, I do until Newcastle United play, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Oscar Marcus says, "Be kind." I think for me, my one would be that everyone has to act like a kid for the day. So how you were like a little in school, you have to act like a kid.
That's amazing.
Doing roly-polies, handstands, kiss chase.
The good thing about that would be no bills. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, the second one is, if you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
These are very hard questions. I'm not happy about this. Mine would be, so my favorite ever thing is, it sounds so ridiculous, birthday cake Oreos.
Birthday Oreos?
But that would be so boring. I would be like obese and I would literally have no teeth left. So that's maybe not a good idea, but they are literally my favorite like snap birthday cake Oreos.
Oreos in general are phenomenal.
Yeah, every Oreo.
Have you tried the thins yet? The Oreo thins?
No.
Those are really good. Try those.
The golden Oreos are good. They're just like souped up custard creams that we have in the UK. Everyone always says that, but they're just better. They're just better.
Mine would be chicken parmesan, probably. I love chicken parmesan. You can get it anywhere, but a good chicken parmesan. Here in Boston, we have a place called the North End. It's one of like the little boroughs of the city, and it's all Italian food. And you can find the best chicken parmesan. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Well, just to go up with the chat, FSG says take everything free and free holiday.
Yeah.
He's talking about the purge.
Yeah, that's literally what it would be. It would be just the absolute carnage. Like, you know what I would do if that was the case? If everything was free, I'd go and purchase Newcastle United Football Club. See?
Okay.
I have logic to these ideas. Logic to these ideas.
Using your head there.
Oscar says he'd eat Japanese food.
Yeah, sushi's a great one. That's a great idea.
Sushi.
FSG said jerk chicken. I think for me, I could eat meatballs and pasta for the rest of my life.
See, that I was going like a specific, like one food, like not a meal. If it was a meal, like,
meal.
Yeah, got to be Italian. Like, got to be some form of pasta. Like, it's got to be like that's sustainable food. It's got to be.
I'm getting hungry. It's dinner time over here.
Last one. What was your favorite cartoon character as a kid?
Oh, I had a few really, but I liked Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls.
Bubbles.
Powder Puff Girls. Wow, I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Because she was blonde and she like had little bunches, and I used to think I was like her, so she would have been my favorite.
My favorite was probably Doug. You guys ever watch Doug, Nickelodeon? No, you guys don't have Nickelodeon.
We do have Nickelodeon, but I've never watched Doug. We used to watch like Drake and Josh and stuff. But
this is like
Zoe 101, but I can't remember Doug.
Doug's like 10 years before that, so mine was Doug. I loved Doug.
Don't think I've seen Doug. Just Googling it. No, I don't think I've watched Doug.
Yeah, it's like middle school. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really describe it. He's like kind of a weirdo.
Mine was probably Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, classic.
Roger Rabbit. See that movie? Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. That's a good movie.
Oscar just says Mickey Mouse.
Classic as well.
Yeah. Classic. Yeah.
All right. So we'll end it there. It's been a pleasure having you on, Kendall.
Thank you for having me. Genuinely, thank you.
We'll have to have it back on again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. God knows what's going to happen in that time.
How can people reach you or reach your content?
So all my socials, so YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram is all Kendall Rowan. Obviously, if you want to check out the Football Terrace, please do. Amazing platform, amazing things coming from that. So I do a couple of shows on there, present my own at 9 p.m. on Fridays.
Okay.
And also you'll catch me on the Magpie Channel, but you probably won't care about that because it's Newcastle related, so you probably won't care about that. Football Terrace is the big six, basically, so probably more people are going to be interested in that than the Newcastle United stuff, but yeah.
Cool. So everyone, make sure you give Kendall a follow. Also give Andrew a follow, and also give me a follow, and also give Stevie a follow, and Sophie a follow. And yeah, it's been a pleasure as always. Also, make sure if you haven't, smash that like and subscribe button. It helps us get more amazing guests like Kendall on here, and it also helps us get the show out to more people. Otherwise, we will be back on tomorrow for Friday's final word, and then back on Saturday for team news reaction, Liverpool Newcastle watch along, and the Liverpool Newcastle post match reaction. So check out our tweets when they arrive tomorrow and on Saturday. Otherwise, everyone, have a great evening all. It's been a pleasure.
Barry knows what Doug is. Barry knows what Doug is. I'm not the only one.
Otherwise, have a great evening, everyone. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds.
And hopefully, good luck for the rest of the season, Kendall, after Saturday.
Yes. I like that one. That was good.
Good.